we named the company Innovid, which stands for Innovation and Video, for a reason, because we always felt back then and still today, our biggest competitor is Google. Google has a division called DoubleClick. And that's our main competitor, and almost all of our growth coming from customers that are moving Google and shifting to Innovid. What will stop Google getting 100 of the best engineers in the room and changing and rebuilding what you did? And our answer is that we will always win on innovation.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. This is a very special episode. It really does embody what this show is all about. Why do you do what you do? What is innovation? What is creativity? Please meet Tal Chalozin, the co-founder and CTO of the amazing Innovid, a connected TV and video advertising platform for advertisers to engage consumers across all screens and channels. Tal leads Innovid's long-term technology vision, global product creation and implementation, and business development efforts, as well as identifying and developing emerging trends and opportunities for product innovation and digital TV or OTT collaborations. He has forged partnerships with Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Samsung, Roku, and Hulu, amongst others, to help advertisers bring interactive video to viewers everywhere. Tal is a serial entrepreneur and tireless global leader in video technology. In addition to serving as Innovid's CTO, Tal is a board member for the IAB's Digital Video Center of Excellence and for the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. He has been named 2018 inductee in the American Advertising Federation's Advertising Hall of Achievement for his significant impact on the industry via mentorship, inspiration, volunteerism, and training. Previous accolades include being named a technology pioneer by the World Economic Forum, one of the best young European entrepreneurs by Business Week, a member of Multi-Channel News 40 Under 40 class of 2016, and to Synopsys Digital's 2016 Geek List. Thank you, Tal, for coming on. This is going to be a great episode. You're calling from New York right now, right? The Innovid offices there?
I am.
Awesome. Well, according to LinkedIn, you have more than 500 people already. I know that's not always the most accurate, but that is to say you've co-founded 15 years ago a company that really is a game changer in the video format and advertisement personalization space. I can only imagine what was going through your mind in 2007, when Facebook was basically just starting to take off, and I'm trying to piece together sort of the different theses that you must have come up with to reach where you're at today. But your personal journey of innovation and entrepreneurship, goes far back to your days in the Israeli Air Force and Garage Geek. So Tal, I'd love to spend a little bit of time understanding your brain a little bit better. Who are you, Tal? Take me back all the way to the Israeli Air Force days.
Oh, well, my life for many, many years is trying to understand the same thing. So hopefully in 20 minutes we'll figure that out.
Exactly.
I guess you covered all points. I'll try to give a short answer and throw it back to you. So as you said, I'm Tal Chalozin, CTO and co-founder of Innovid. Together with Zvika Neder and Zach Zigdan, we started Innovid about 15 years ago with the dream or the vision that television is going to move to the internet. And while moving to the internet, a lot of things will change, specifically around how people consume television. It will be more of a two-way communication. I'll hold an Xbox remote or an interactive remote and I can actually click on things. And the second, because it runs on an internet platform, you can, or interface, you can do so many more things like personalize the message that everyone sees the right ad that is relevant for them, for their household. You can do much better measurement, and then marketers don't need to spend so much and just bombard the market with advertising because each and every one of them can work so much harder. So that's the general premise. Little that we know about everything that's going to happen around the transformation into streaming, streaming devices and apps and Netflix and Disney Plus, and so many of those clearly did not exist. But you wanted to start even a couple of years before at the Air Force. So I was in Mamran program after graduating high school, and then I chose to join the Air Force. In the Air Force, back then there was a unit called Mamdas. Now it's changed to be called OFIC, which is the unit that makes most of the operational software for the Air Force. So embedded software for planes and helicopters and ammunition and other things, and command and control software. I was on that team as a developer, and a team leader, and then I was in kind of the general architecture team across the Air Force, building some of those systems. I ended up staying for quite some time, about 8 years. Wow. Really enjoying that world. It's pretty fascinating that you, as a kid, 19 years old, can deal with pretty cool software that you can argue if you like the use of that software or not. That was some of the reasons why I ended up leaving. But still, at a very young age, you can lead a team and build something that is very impactful, very complicated, and very, very rigorous, and in a very advanced system. Again, stayed there, learned a ton, and met a lot of amazing people that are still one of my closest friends. But maybe at the tail end of my serve in the Air Force, I was doing a lot of work around video processing, and then I just became curious about what can software. Back then, no one used terms like machine learnings or artificial intelligence, but this is again 2006-ish. But the general idea that we can process video and insert elements into the video. The same idea that you watch a soccer match and then there's some drawing on the video, or there are even commercials that are superimposed on the sides or the actual lawn or the grass. So we thought if you can do that, maybe you can create better video experience. And that's just to take you to that time. That was the time when YouTube started kind of emerging. This was the time that Google acquired YouTube. And it was kind of clear that there's some form of a video creation revolution, and we wanted to be part of that.
And but that your way of thinking spans beyond just this. You co-founding Garage Geeks, and your work in innovation. Tell me a little bit about that, because I'm curious about the transition from developer, team leader, transitioning to an innovator, and what that requires of your creativity, what that requires of leadership style, and where did you get hooked onto that?
Those are all big words. I wouldn't describe myself as any of them, but I would just say that it's more about curiosity than anything. So Garage Geeks is a place we started. It's in Cholon in Israel, in a real garage that was Tzvika, my partner's family owned this place in a very rundown area of Cholon. And what we wanted to do is, we love playing Xbox and we like drinking beer. And we said there may be other people that have the same passion, and they don't really have a place to go. That is, like, we used to call it a man or a woman club for geeks. So it started with this idea of, okay, let's all meet together, play video games, and talk about electronics, robotics, and other things. Literally for, exactly as I said, for soul's sake of curiosity. So something very important, and we said that from day one, is that it's not for commercial use. We don't want to be the place that, a startup incubator or a place for matchmaking of founders. That this was definitely not the idea. The idea is that if you're curious about technology, you're curious about, it could be even music or other elements. But if you're very curious about it for true curiosity and your passion to learn, maybe you can meet like-minded people and just geek on it. And that's literally how it started. We started just throwing events, and then we became very close friends with Yossi Vardi, who really helped propel that place to the next level. Under the premise that there are quite a lot of people that are curious in Israel, coming from very different disciplinaries, and they just wanna meet together. I started by talking, playing video games, and drinking beer, and then we did a lot more events and teaching people to hack a Wii console, all the way to making electronic music and building robots that play Guitar Hero on Xbox, or many other things. And it was something that really we're really passionate about, and you can tie a lot of it to Innovid as well. Is the connection, or the place where art meet technology. So a lot of the things that we created was kind of artistic in nature, but heavy focused on technology. And you asked about why at least what drove me to be excited about this is more about the idea when I discovered this cool thing is that you can go on the internet, and I literally knew nothing about electronics, but I can go on YouTube or Wikipedia or other places and order different electronic components over the internet and just watch YouTube videos and then build robots. And this was and again, I knew nothing. I barely finished my high school. I never went to study any undergrad, let alone grad students. But and I was mostly mesmerized about the ease that you can actually make things happen.
Incredible. I have to say, I share a very similar passion. Many years later, I got to take part in Machanet as the organizer from the 8200 side, and so that also helped me fall in love with the uselessness nature of simply geeking out. My invention was building a robot that can make a pancake, so it wasn't completely useless. Even the head of the police force enjoyed our pancakes. I don't promise it was tasty, but I can definitely resonate a lot with the nature of how you're thinking through things. So we're in 2006, and back to Innovid a little bit. You're realizing that we're in the middle of a creator transformation. The way people consume media is going to change dramatically. Do you realize that it's going to take on multiple revolutions? And we still don't know yet where we're at, right? I mean, we could be seeing another revolution, soon with the metaverse, et cetera. But how are you thinking through this world of media back in 2006?
So I must say, again, coming from a very naive, now it's very easy to say that, and it sounds poetic, but it is this is literally how it was. We came from a truly naive approach that we never even tried to predict where the future will be. The one thing we knew is that we all lived in a world pre-iPhone and post-iPhone, pre-Facebook or social network and post-social networking, and the same thing about just generally the internet. And we just felt that those massive technological inventions just changed the world so much that you cannot predict what the world would look like, but you do know that it will be very different. And a lot of the kind of underpinning capabilities will change, but the consumption of media or experiencing content, experiencing movies or news or sports or reality, doesn't matter. Well, everyone would still enjoy that, but everything around it, the user experience, the accessibility, the discovery, sharing, all of that will change massively. So we never thought to even imagine what the future would look like.
Interesting.
We just felt like, it's going to change massively. It's going to be over the internet. It's going to be software powered. We just said we want to insert ourselves in there. And let's just start a journey. This is literally how we did. And we raised our around without really knowing what we were about to do. We just under the belief that it's going to change. The software will play a big role. We want to be there, kind of smack in the middle. Building that software. So we started with, again, heavy on the creative side of allowing, we called it power to the producers. So allowing YouTubers creating interactive video and allowing people create really cool music videos.
Sure.
And I remember like back in 2008 or so, we did some partnership with some Canadian studio that produced live band kind of shows and broadcast them over the internet. And they had a lot of sponsors that want to insert themselves into the message, but they wanted to do it in a fun way. So we created things that you can insert logos in a really cool way on the stage itself, kind of superimpose it. So it's not really an ad, but something that the stage is sponsored by Mazda back then, but in a nice way, or a movie by Warner Brothers. Or you can play games like trivia while watching the show about the band, and it's all kind of in between there. It weaved different brand messages. So this is what we did at the beginning. Then the internet, the online video, YouTube started to take off. So we realized that maybe we're onto something. So we can build other things. And then Innovid, that it is today, was born with different software platforms for large marketers, which is how do you manage, how you as Procter & Gamble or Target or Microsoft or very large brands manage when you stream your ads on YouTube, on Hulu, on Disney, on soon Netflix, on ESPN and many other places in 100 countries. You need a centralized system that manage everything. And you need a centralized system that you see all of your data in one place. This is what we do right now.
Right. So I guess one of the big opportunities if you've realized is that sort of the change in the market is that if before people were advertising just in several mainstream channels, so you could manage it probably with an Excel or a notebook, etc. Today we have so many different platforms and so many different and even data points that even just being able to standardize the data and being able to see it from all the channels, that's just one big headache for anybody, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's super fragmented from so many different ways. And yes.
How do you as a company stay ahead of the game? A few hundred people already. How do you're talking about an industry that is changing so quickly. I couldn't even realize what TikTok was before it took over the world. Seriously. How do you as a company manage to constantly be ahead of the game to understand the different trends, different platforms, and different consumer behaviors?
Yeah. So just in terms of data points, you mentioned few hundred people. So Innovid is 600 people right now. We made a big acquisition of about 150 people of a company called TV Squared earlier this year. So that kind of bumped up the numbers. How do we stay ahead? So we named the company Innovid, which stands for innovation and video, for a reason, because we always felt back then and still today, our biggest competitor is Google. Google has a division called DoubleClick, and that's our main competitor. And almost all of our growth coming from customers that are moving Google and shifting to Innovid. And we always felt, there's this VC question for A-round entrepreneurs are always asked, what will stop Google getting 100 of the best engineers in the room and changing and rebuilding what you did? And our answer is that we will always win on innovation, because we think that all of the big companies will never be in the forefront. We'll always seek revenue and will seek only mature and stable industries. And we said, no, we think that because we're passionate about the creative and the change of the industry, we put innovation as a core tenet of everything that we do. So we, from the beginning, we always try to guess where the market is going. Back in 2014, we assumed that they will be streaming, the television will be streamed. And we met this very young company called Roku that they just started. And they hired their first person who did something in advertising. And I became very close personal friend with that person. He's called Rosenberg. And then I remember till today, we had a whiteboard session say like, this maybe someday people will disconnect their cable and will stream television. Let's start building that right now. And we said, we will put engineers on it. Even we have no clue when it will start making money. And we signed our first deal that Roku ever did.
Wow.
And since we did so many things together.
Incredible. And so, as a leader and as a technology leader within this organization, are there specific things that you realize that you do, in a leadership standpoint that help foster innovation or help enable? You're mentioning this decision to put engineers on something that may not amount to anything, right? That's a bold move. But how do you get people within your organization to be thinking in that same mindset and take risks in a world where if you take the wrong risks in mid-level management, you may not do well?
Yeah, so clearly we still manage a business. So I just want to put it in context that it's not that we just constantly navigate the whole company.
Sure.
To do things that we have no clue if they will.
Of course.
They will mature. But I think so far every customer that we won and we moved off of Google, for example, I'll give you. We just reported. By the way, we took the company public at the end of last year.
Congratulations.
Traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker CTV. And we just reported in our last earning that we are General Motors, who's one of Google's largest customer, if not the largest advertising customer on the Google platforms, decided to move to Innovid. And when we interview a customer after every win, what made you choose Innovid is that everyone is saying, literally till today, with hundreds of customers, is that relentless focus on innovation and the belief that we want to build a future-proof platform. This is what drove them to move to Innovid. So we invest in the grand scheme of things, a small percentage of our R&D and product resources in that, but we take it seriously.
Yes,
we believe that television will have commerce in it, and people could buy things with the remote. So we're saying, okay, we have the power right now to work with the world's largest advertisers in almost every country and do trials. Maybe
Incredible.
No one would actually buy anything, but let's do that.
I love that.
So all of those things, and you asked about how do we tell people to take those risks, is we just show that you do not need to chase the exact dollars, but kind of derived dollars actually comes along. So again, General Motors chose Innovid, and this is many, many millions of dollars of a customer. And they chose it because of their belief in innovation. Even if they don't really pay the dollars for that, they end up buying the standard product. But what drove them to Innovid is that they think that innovation is something that they want to be associated.
Incredible. I love that. Tal, this is such an enjoyable conversation, going all the way back to, where innovation stems from. Now, you did mention in the beginning it's a very large word. It's a very fluffy word. I don't like those either. But I think that knowing, some of the experiences that you've had, having gone through them myself, some of them you started yourself. I appreciate the simplicity behind what innovation is and the uselessness nature of being a geek and trying out things and seeing how things work and just taking the time to study something, try it out, get excited by doing something that somebody else has done, but doing it yourself and then seeing where things go. And so I'm not surprised at all.
100%.
Not surprised at all by what you and your co-founders have done here, which is really inspiring and remarkable. So thank you for your time and for your energy. And I can't wait to continue seeing the amazing ways you're going to be working in the media space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. True pleasure.